There's something inside of all of us that makes us conscious and aware and there. And then that something is not there when you're sleeping. And so is it dormant? Is it just recovering, which is, the scientific version of it? Or is it possible that while you're in this dream state and your body shuts off, that your mind and your consciousness travels to a non-physical dimension that you can only access through the chemicals that are released in your brain, which we know produce psychedelic experiences. So if you took the chemicals that are released during your brain or inside your brain, like dimethyltryptamine, and there's all sorts of different psychedelic chemicals that are produced by the mind. If you take these outside of the dream state, if you take these drugs, you have these crazy, fantastic experiences. And we know these are produced by the brain.
They produce. They produce by the brain also.
Yes, they're produced by the brain. They're produced by the liver and the lungs.
Yeah.
We believe they're produced by your third eye, which is your pineal gland. They've shown, the Cottonwood Research Foundation has shown that this is done in rats, that rats produce dimethyltryptamine in their pineal gland. Doesn't necessarily mean that people do, but it's logical to imply that people probably, or conclude that people probably do it as well. So those chemicals that are producing these psychedelic experiences are being released by the brain, but we don't know why, and we don't know what they're doing.
When you sleep, like you have a guy, Matthew Walker.
Yes, it was amazing, right?
When you sleep, your guardian, your logic is not there. That part of your brain is gone.
Right. Yeah.
So that's probably the most logical experience. But it's kind of a freaking scary thought of thinking that, man, is like it make you wonder. Sometimes you're at night alone and you're thinking, man. And me, I'm a guy that think a lot. I'm thinking about all kind of scenario. Like in a fight, I think about all scenario, but in life, I'm the same way. Yeah. I'm thinking, what if this happened for real, or what if, like, man, it's a scary talk, man. It's nothing more scary in the world.
Well, what is scarier? Is it scary to think that when you die, you're just gone and nothing happens? Or is it scary to think that your consciousness leaves this physical dimension and goes into what's essentially a well of souls? Just a dimension, a non-physical dimension of consciousness where all consciousness interacts with each other, and it's just geometric patterns that don't have a physical being attached to them.
It's hard for me to believe the consciousness is not material. Because let's say you would say, sometimes they say, oh, he's a good person, he's a bad person. I don't believe there's good and bad person. I believe there's no baby born good or bad. I believe it's your environment and that shape you.
It has a lot to do with it. Genes have a lot to do with it.
So when you say the mind, let's say I'm a person, I'm a certain way. You know me as a certain way. And it happened to me. I know I have a friend that happened to him. He was my best friend. And he's dead now, unfortunately. He was a certain way. But he got a car accident. I remember after his car accident, he changed, man. He was not the same guy. He became a little bit paranoid. He had some kind of dementia.
Yeah.
So the person I knew was kind of dead.
Yes.
But it was physically... the DNA, everything was the same, but the person is different.
Right.
So when you say the soul, the mind, it would be really not materialistic, that would not have changed. But his personality was completely different. He had a short temper. I remember he had a girlfriend who was extremely jealous. He was starting to beat her and stuff. He was completely different person that you knew before. So if they say the mind, your brain is materialism, but your mind is not. So if you have an accident like my friend, and maybe you have some sort of dementia or something, that's mean if it's not materialism, it would not happen.
It's possible, but it's also possible.
It's hard to say, right. and you have the explanation that are like subjective and objective. If I pinch you, you say I'm hurt. There is no objective way for me to tell you that you really hurt, because even if I go and I open your brain, I can't see it. Right, the only way I know is because of my experience, but it can't prove it.
Right.
So fucking who knows? Who freaking knows? I don't know.
It's also possible that when you think of consciousness or the soul or the what's going on in the mind, it's expressed through the body. And then when the body is damaged, that consciousness is damaged as well, because your consciousness is now being expressed through a lack of certain hormones. Your mind itself, the very brain, might be an antenna or something that uses consciousness in order to move through life, but that consciousness is independent from the brain, and that the brain being damaged is just expressing consciousness in a fucked up way, because you've got dementia or Parkinson's or what other neurological disorders that people have, but at the center of it, it's still the same thing. It's one of the things that people say when they have, like,
so you mean
Ali.
if you let's say you die, you finish, the best out of you will still exist somewhere?
Not necessarily
somewhere
the best
in the
out of you, but you independent of the body. And these are just theories.
Okay.
But there are people that believe that consciousness is non-local, and that the body actually is just like an antenna for your consciousness. Now, if the body is damaged, if your hormonal balance is all fucked up, your neurological system is out of whack, you have, like, one of the things that Muhammad Ali said when they were talking to him about his Parkinson's is that he's still in there. He just can't express himself because his body had been damaged by so many fights and so many hard sparring sessions and so many blows to the head that he wasn't capable of expressing himself, but inside he was still the same guy, but he was trapped. His consciousness was trapped in a broken body.
I see. It's like a prison, like a locomotion system.
Yeah.
I see what you're trying.
And you know, when you think about CTE, like a lot of these football players, like, you know, that Aaron Hernandez guy that was a murderer, and he was a football player, and they examined his brain after he was dead, and like, this is one of the worst cases of CTE we've ever seen. After he killed himself in prison, they examined him, and the idea is that your consciousness is supposed to be expressing itself through a healthy brain, right? Through healthy hormones, a healthy endocrine system, a healthy neurological system, and that in that way your brain your consciousness can express itself and do so without any physical hindrances. Then there's also psychological hindrances.
But what is LT? At what age? What age are you LT? At the start, the moment you start breathing and living, there's some sort of change that occur in your body.
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
what is the LT state?
That's a good
15,
question.
12, 1 years old, and then
right.
You're 1 year old. You're not the same person at 15, and 15 you're not the same as 30.
I think
30 you're not the same as 60.
I think they're not. There's no independence. I think they're all connected.